you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Hello, Susan. Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, March 8th, 2025. Where has the year gone? Where is it going? What's happening with Disclosure? The things to talk about? Oh yeah, my friends, and more than talk about than last night. We've got a great conversation for everybody here today on Disclosure Tonight, including all of our friends in the audience and our friends in the back. On that note, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let me go ahead and start up the drums. Where'd they go? There they are. All right, and let's go ahead, turn up so I can hear a bit better. There we go, and let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who the heck do we have out there? If I didn't say it again, happy Saturday, everybody. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about today. It was actually a pleasant morning looking for material. It's like, oh, I can talk about that. We can talk about that. Oh, now we can talk about that. Yeah. Let's welcome $70 Million Man X in along with Al Duff. We got Andy W., Anton Ghosts, and Ashes on Air. I see Chino Jr., Carmanian alias Teresa is here, along with Corporal Abe, all the way from the great state of Hawaii. We got Daryl, Dennis, Benke, Digger Dog, Diva, Kim, Eric Routh, and the Gurus, and of course, Firefly is here. Look at that. We've got Gaynor Andrews, Geraldine Durazio is here. Good to see you, Geraldine. Also, Gray Jedi, J-Cat, John McLean, John Mooner, and Kelly Bro with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly, as always. We've got Kenneth Wenrick, Ladybug, Laura Campbell, Liberty Astro UK is here, along with Lynn 60, Maritime Unprepared, and Mick. Would you look at that? We've got some necessary dialogue along with Niles Guy, our resident pitbull. Let's welcome in Peggy and her South Florida friends, also from Florida. Great big hugs and kisses to you, Peggy, as well as to Crockett and Crockett Tubbs, and our heart is with you, and best wishes for Steve. Let's also welcome Prism Films, Reality Check VIP. We got Ricardo here, and Sam and Sandra Jute. We've got Tia and Tom Clark. How about that? We got through the whole audience. And what happens to two midgets on a horse? Did you lose the horse? We miss you. On that note. Put the fly in. Let's get this going. It's that time of the night, friends, to go ahead and welcome in our back audience. Let's go ahead and see who the heck we've got with us today. Well, I think our first friend is coming to us all the way from the state of Florida. Let's welcome in our dear friend, Alice W. How's it going, Alice? You're muted.
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing good, my dear lady. Welcome to the show.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. And our next friend is coming to us all the way from Bristol, United Kingdom. He's the reason actually why we do this show at 10 p.m. London time, 2 p.m. Pacific. Let's welcome in our dear friend, Andy W. How you doing, Andy?
Hi, Thomas. Yeah, much better than last night. I'm actually awake.
That's a good thing.
Last night, my brain was working at -0 last night.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly colder than usual, but yeah, unfortunately, everybody in America and that part of the world, I'm the reason you have to give up your afternoons.
Oh, that's okay. I've
Yeah,
that's okay. I've powered up on Adderall, so I am ready and raring to go, my friend. Yes, I have a prescription for it. I just have to remember to take it. Part of the problem. Yeah. Let's go ahead and welcome our next dear friend, and coming in all the way from the state of Colorado, Ashes. How you doing, my dear lady?
Whoop, whoop. Hey, Thomas. Hi, everyone. So, real talk. I jot stuff down because my brain's like at 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And so I'm hyped. I'm hyped tonight. And I know that Gary Nolan's Psionics and Q&A is probably going to make some smoke in my covert ops theory.
Well, excellent. Yeah, thanks for reaching out before the show. I did a big data dump on you. You wanted to know what you're talking about and what we're talking about. And I gave you a lot of fun stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming in, my dear lady.
Thank you.
Our next friend was in the city that never sleeps, but now he's gotten to the nice comforts of Waikiki Beach in Hawaii. Let's welcome in Corporal Abe. How's it going, Abe?
Hey, pretty good. Hanging in there. I'm actually in the Ewa Beach. It's spelled EWA Beach now.
Awa Beach. Awa Beach, is that north or east?
It's near the airport.
North.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yep.
I'm just kind of connect wherever all the dots go and everything. I know if you're in Waikiki Beach and you go to the south a bit to the east, you've got that old volcanic crater where you can go in and do a bunch of swimming and stuff. Oh, what do you call it? Snorkeling and everything. So, yeah, you were definitely to the north. Yeah.
Yep.
Been there many times. Waikiki in the evenings is an interesting crowd watching site. Absolutely.
Very beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Glad to be here, Thomas. Looking forward to a good show, bro.
Thank you for coming out. Our next friend's coming to us from the great state of Indiana. We could call him a Hoosier because he is. Let's welcome in Daryl Zernick. How's it going, Daryl?
Hoosier. Oh, yeah, everything's going great. Good to see everybody. Looking forward to the show, Thomas.
Yes, thank you for coming in, my friend. Absolutely. Our next friend's coming to us from the great state of Texas. Let's welcome in our recliner-in-chief, Ed Brown.
Well, good evening, Thomas. And I just wanted to let Abe know I'm still in my CHAIR and having a good time. Mind is open. I'm not 100% like Ashley is, but I'm just going to take it in tonight and enjoy a very good show.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming in, my friend. Let's put our sights to the Great White North. Our next friend's coming to us from the province in Canada where all the U's are silent. Let's welcome in Mr. Michael Sokoloff. How's it going, Michael?
It's going good, Thomas. It's going to be a good show today.
Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it, my friend. Sorry to hear China just whacked you guys with 100% tariffs on some of your products going into China because Canada's actually keeping, what do you call it, Chinese electric vehicles out, and as well as some steel and aluminum imports. So Xi Jinping hit you guys next. Wow, it's turning into a global trade war, isn't it?
Well, it's just absolutely ridiculous. They're going to kill the economy. Everybody's economy is going to go down the drain.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll lower your taxes.
One of the chief economists, I forget his name now, but he was saying that tariffs are basically an act of war.
Yeah.
You know, when you attack other countries like that, I mean. And obviously it's not a trade dispute because he's putting tariffs on everything.
Yep.
So it's not a trade dispute. So, I'll leave it at that. But
oh yeah, it's in a period of escalation. So if there's anything you got to buy it now before prices go crazy. All right, thank you very much for coming in, Michael. I appreciate you being here. Our next friend's coming from the great state of Massachusetts, where some people are called massholes. I'm not sure if that's you, Sergeant Daniel, but thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, you better believe it, my friend. And our next friend, coming in from the great state of New York. Let's welcome in Tia Marie. How's it going, Tia?
Hey, Thomas. Happy to be here. Excited for the show. Can't wait to see what you got for us, man.
Oh, thank you very much. And I can't wait I need to get my Windows back up here. Apparently, I've closed down the browser that had all the information I wanted to cover. Thank you for coming in today, Tia. You look beautiful as always.
Always.
Yes. And let's put our sights on, well, I could say his name 3 times. Mike. Disclosure. How the hell are you, Mike?
I'm doing well. And it looked like we're going to have a very interesting show for our international audience.
Yeah.
And a lot of things to talk about, like we did yesterday. We had a great conversation yesterday on the show.
The virtual smorgasbord. I guess that is a German word. We'll just call it the old, well, not the old country buffet, because we might have a sighting of a hairy sweat hog. But Let me go ahead and get up my X feed and see what's going on. Yeah, a lot of stuff. Got up this morning, getting ready to go ahead and cover disclosure and what's going on. You know, that can go some of these days when we're looking for stuff to cover. X is the place to go. Let me go ahead and get...
Every day.
Every day. Let me go.
But I just want you to know that Levity Wing is in the front chat, and I invited Daryl to join us in the back.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Hopefully he comes in.
And I also did send him an email earlier today. He wanted to help out with some marketing ideas for the channel or some ways to promote it more. So, yeah, I let him know. Let's go ahead and talk. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, he mentioned that. So,
all right. Good. Excellent. Let me go ahead and pop up so I can see the chat again, see what's going on with our audience. Nothing missed there.
Brian Pemble is in the front chat, too.
Oh, well, welcome, Brian. Long time no see. Let's go ahead and have...
Good to see you.
Yeah, topic of discussion. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so
he's going to join us in the back soon.
Oh, nice. You know, Mike, I should have bought it when I had a chance. I could have spent $2,000 and gotten a new NVIDIA 5090 card, but I did not spend that money. I should have spent it. Would have been a great investment.
Well, something that would have lasted for a while. NVIDIA is a good card.
Oh, yeah, great cards, my friend. Great cards. And yeah, video cards are hard to find. And yeah, I'll share some tips on how to find it if there's any people in the audience who want to get one these days. It's pretty easy to snipe one. You just have to have a good data connection and follow the right websites to get there. On that note, let's go ahead and get away from technology, which I could talk on all day long. And where are we getting to? Oh, yeah, interview guest desktop. Oh, and it's too big. Let me go ahead and shrink it down to the left side. Oh gosh, text is big. Let's get it down to the right side. A little bit more from the left side. There we go. Coming to us for our first tweet that we're going to go ahead and cover today is coming to us from the Disclosure Party over on X. Am I doing that? Hold on a second here. I want to fix this. Give me a second. I want to shrink this down this way. It'll be a higher resolution image. There we go.
And easier to read now.
And easier to, well, it's going to be a little, let's go to that way. There we go. And I'll keep it readable if I can. Let me make this a little bit, great. Up a little bit. Come on. Thank you, X. Appreciate that. Oh, great. My browser just decided to fart. Okay, let's get into it. Close enough. Disclosure Party. Representative Jared Moskowitz believes that Congress should try to get into one of these places, these places that are housing UFO evidence. And if they won't let us in, I think we should just have a field hearing right outside the building, and the military will have to explain what it is. Here we got a picture, a photo of, well, a little bit too big for a very man with a great stature. Let's bring this up. Jared Moskowitz standing out there, you know, talking about disclosure. Mike, I just have to bring this up. If they're trying to go ahead and get access to these places, I would say if they're not going to be able to get access, it's going to, the need would be to go ahead and bring in Trump's military to make sure they can get into these locations.
Well, it's not so simple of a thing. You would need legal justification to enter the premises. Just calling in the military alone wouldn't do it.
Well, of course not.
But
you'd have to have the military, not even just the military per se. You'd have to have, the military. You'd have to have Trump's declassification order for the information that's held at that location to come through. And if the powers that be, whoever at that location, are refusing to bring the information out, then you bring the military in.
Well, under the scenario that you just laid out, then that would be correct. But as this is right now, if you know the location and you have, because David Grush had given it to Congress, so they know exactly where this stuff is being hidden. And it's a street address, according to David. So they can't legally go in there without a court order to justify entering of the premises. Plus, it's private property.
Well, it wouldn't even necessarily have to be a court order. It would just have to be a presidential order for whatever division of the government is holding these materials. If they're unwilling to give up the information or the data or the physical objects, that's where you can have the president sign a presidential order to deploy to the military to that location to go get the information the president wants. You don't need a court order.
Well, first he would then need to declassify the information. like you said.
Well, he could
correct.
declassify it afterwards, but if they want to go get the stuff out of there so they can go through it themselves and figure out what information needs to come forward, they can do whatever. The president can do whatever he wants. He's the commander-in-chief.
Oh, you mean exercise eminent domain, which they do have a right to.
No, I'm talking if this information is held in a government facility, right?
Well, we're not talking about government facility. We're talking about it's going to be on private property. Which is.
We don't know that it's on private property. It can be in the DOE's hands.
Well, that's true.
It could be locked away at a military base. If it was in the hands of a private contractor, and those materials that they have put off any kind of radiological signature, we already have the
DOE. Yeah.
We already have eminent domain over those objects, and we can go in there without a court order and seize that and seize that data and seize those parts if they're unwilling to give it up.
Well, we know Lockheed is one of the contractors, the military contractors that's in possession of both the biologics and the craft.
Well, we know they have the craft, not necessarily the biologics.
Oh, David Grush said that they also have biologics, but that's okay. Either way, if they have a military contract, that could be called into question under the president.
Yeah.
You said this the whole time. You said that if true disclosure is going to come from the government, it has to come from the top down. And if the president wants it to be out, then they'd have a hell of a time trying to prevent him from doing that.
Yeah.
So you're right. Let's see if he does that. I'd love to cover that live.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. I'd love to cover that live as well. You know, there's more than one way to skin a cat or hang a cat for that matter.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let's get into our next piece. I know this one's not quite for what we're talking about, but we did talk about with Michael Sokoloff, and it is in my news feed because we're covering some other things that are going out there today. Not necessarily as political, but something affects if you want to get something like video cards or technology or your favorite snacks or comfort foods from around the world. Prices are going to get a little bit out of control because there's a tariff war going on. What am I talking about? Yeah, let me go ahead and bring this one in. Document.
And anybody that's been to the supermarket recently knows they're already out of control, the prices, and getting worse every day.
Yeah.
This is not going to help.
So the Tariff Policy Committee of China's State Council has announced that effective the 20th of March, just 12 days away, a 100% tariff will be imposed on several Canadian products, including canola oil, oilseed cakes, and peas. Additionally, a 25% tariff will be levied on seafood and pork imports from Canada.
Oh, that's going to raise the prices immensely.
Yes, the spokesperson for the Chinese Ministry of Commerce expressed strong dissatisfaction with Canada's unilateral trade restrictions, which were implemented without investigation. These measures affect electrical vehicles, steel, and aluminum imported from China and are seen as detrimental to China-Canada trade relations. Somehow this seems like it's tied to the United States, though, Mike.
Yeah, it sounds like pushback to me, too.
Well, no, because if we're talking about electric vehicles, we already have a 100% tariff on electric vehicles in the United States. Right. And we have we also have tariffs on steel and aluminum imported from China. And I believe there was actually something going on with the steel and aluminum tariffs that we're putting against Canada, which looks like they weren't necessarily putting the tariff against, if you want to call it, they weren't putting the tariff against Canada as much as we were putting the tariff against China coming through Canada.
Right. That's right.
Brian Pemble, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, great to see everybody. This is going to hurt everybody for a little bit. There's going to be a little bit of a trade war. And then I think what we'll see is everybody come to their senses. And I think what you're referring to, Thomas, is the value-added tax. So they also don't call it a tariff. Sometimes they add the value on the imports later.
That is in Europe.
Yeah,
that hits the people when they're going to buy product. But if you see the product in the United Kingdom or in Europe, the price, including tax, is displayed to the person. So even though they're paying a very high VAT coming into the country for particular products, it's going to go higher. But I don't believe they have VAT in Canada or in China, though.
No, I do not think they do. I just think in the end all be all, everybody can see the end game of this chessboard, and everything should just be equalized. No value added tax, no tariffs, no nothing, and now everybody can skip the heartache. So hopefully the leaders come to their senses on this.
Yeah.
Well, the problem that I see is that during Trump's first term, these tariffs are what got him voted out of office. And I don't want to see history repeating itself and having the Democrats voted back in after his second term. Right. We don't need that again.
Yeah. That will just send us down to a spiral. Well, we're camel.
Oh, Liberty Wing has joined us. Very good. Good to see you, Darryl.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and get on to our next one. We'll be getting back. I've got a bunch of mixed up stories, but they're all worth covering today. Mike, we know we all love RFK Jr. because he was the one who was going to be giving us disclosure if he got into office.
Correct. That's
also,
right.
in his holiday Christmas party, who was in that holiday Christmas? In this,
Danny Sheehan.
His holiday Christmas photo. As part of that Christmas photo, we had Danny Sheehan there as part of the family.
That's right.
So if you want to talk, besides, I know last night we were talking about Don Jr. potentially being a little bookworm bug and getting into Don Jr.'s ear. I think there's a great opportunity for that same way to get through Danny to RFK to Trump as well.
Let's hope so. So far, we haven't seen it yet, but we're waiting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that would be good.
Absolutely. Well, we can actually talk about vaccines, Mike, and not get in trouble.
Yeah, well, now we can.
bird flu is getting bad, but it could get a hell of a lot worse. Got a quick, just 1 minute segment here talking about it. Yes, we've got a bunch of UFO stuff, but this is something that's going to affect all of us. This could be the next, oh God, one of those again. Slamdemic, call it that. Let me go ahead and get this video up here really quick.
Oh, we don't need that shit again. That's for damn sure.
Here we go. We got RFK Jr. on Fox Nation.
Okay.
The vaccines do not...
And he's talking about specifically the, what do you call it? He's talking specifically about a bird flu vaccine and the dangers of it.
No.
Yeah.
Here we go
the
again.
Vaccines do not... there's no indication that those vaccines actually provide sterilizing immunity. And all three of my health agencies, NIH, CDC, and FDA, the acting heads of those agencies, have all recommended against the use of the bird flu vaccine for that particular genotype, because the vaccine could actually promote antigenic shift, which means you're turning those birds into mutant factories, and that could actually accelerate the jump to human beings. There's never in history that we know of, bird flu's been around for 100 years, there's never been human-to-human transition. There is a more dangerous clade that comes from wild birds, and that's called the D1.1 clade, or genotype.
So there you go. There's another piece here. Let me see if I can go ahead and find this. Yeah, it's getting crazy. But one of the issues they're concerned with, Mike, that if they want to start potentially giving a schmaccination to birds, to cattle and everything. And what they don't want to have is like what happened with CV19, when you get all of the different vaccines that get in there, it actually goes ahead and creates more accelerated, if you want to call it, mutant varieties of the particular virus. And that's what they're afraid of.
As they have every right to be. But we just got a super chat from David Williams.
Yes.
20 pounds.
David Williams, thank you very much, my friend. 20 bucks. 20 pounds, actually. Thank you. Been watching for a few months. Great show. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Dave. Getting back to it, as you were just bringing around that, what is it called again? Yeah. It's a harrowing situation that we're getting towards, I think.
It's scary shit, and we've already been down this road before in the past. We don't need to repeat it.
No, we don't.
No.
And one of the illustrations, what they're concerned about coming from the CDC is mass animal vaccination drives mutations of the H5N1 vaccine. And that's why 3 of the United States agencies are not are not recommending to be vaccinating our livestock.
Well, let's hope they don't, because we don't need that. Like mad cow disease, we don't need that to be repeated again.
Oh, absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Getting into it a little bit more. Yes, Mike, I know this is a topic that I was on the same side as you, but I've kind of flipped a little bit on this one because the evidence is just getting too good. We cannot look the other way. What am I talking about? Yeah, we're talking about those tridactyls coming from down in South America. Yes, let me go ahead and bring up an image here so we can go ahead and talk about this video. Full guest. All right, here we go. It's coming from Jason Wild over on X. So let me get this straight. Mainstream scientists want us to believe that hands of these mummies are fake, even though the X-rays and CT scan shows seamless bone structure, complete with ligaments and soft tissue. If these were altered human hands, where did the extra bone structure? Okay. I believe these mummies are fake, even though CT, show this, complete with ligaments and soft tissue. If these were altered human hands, where did the extra bones come from? Humans have 3 phalanges per figure, yet these beings have 4, with joints that flow naturally into their wrists. There are no cut marks, no fusions, no breaks, nothing that suggests tampering at this state. But instead of admitting they don't have an answer, skeptics claim they were somehow surgically modified. I'm bringing this up. Let me go ahead and just bring this image down so we can take a look at it as I am reading through this. Yeah, the evidence that's out there, Mike, is pretty conclusive at this point, meaning that it's not like we've got a bunch of human parts that have been put together to go ahead and create these creatures. Clearly what we're seeing here, as they were talking about the different parts of the fingers and how they're putting together, there's no way this could have been faked.
Are we in Jaime Maussan territory right now?
No. Well, Jaime Maussan talked about, in what I've said about Jaime before, right? Even if the guy has been wrong for the last 100 times, right? He still may be able to roll the dice once and actually find something.
If he actually found something and it was corroborated by modern science, it would be global news. We haven't seen it yet.
It is news that's coming together, and it is things that people are seeing, and it is, as more information gets into it, it's looking real.
Let somebody testify to that. That's scientific.
Oh, they will. There will be more than enough evidence coming out, but seeing X-rays and CTs along these particular ways, looking at that and looking at the hand structure and what was put together, this is not an abomination made out of a bunch of humans or other wildlife form. This looks like it was something that was actually created, and in some of the later specimens getting into the structures and what's there, we're not looking at humans. We probably are looking at something that's another species on this planet. Depending on how intelligent it was or what it was or when it was, time will tell, but,
Well, then do a simple DNA test and we'll have our answer right there. Prove it.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got another super chat from our own Brian Pemble for $9.99 US. He says, Danny said in a Twitter space that we have not only psionics, but psionic weapons that control minds of people and populations. And we're reverse engineered from ET tech, and we have no defense for it. Well, that's a bold statement, Brian. If that's true, then all he has to do is show us the evidence to support that claim. Since you're in the back with us, Brian, what do you say about that?
Yeah, exactly right. And I think you guys have been alluding to that the past few shows, that, it's getting to the point of where we need more and more evidence. But yet that was a bold claim by Danny, and you and Thomas know that Danny's always good for a couple of good nuggets every time he talks. And this was on Twitter Space 2 days ago. And he said that's one of the reasons they don't want to release it. They have no defense for it. That it's the same tech that the ETs, the NHIs, whatever you want to call them, use to mind control people and or populations, and that we have that tech, but that we have no defense for it. So that's one of the reasons they're worried about it getting out, is they don't know how to control it. So,
Well,
I thought that was interesting from Danny.
It is, but I have to make a point about this. People that know Danny well, like Thomas and myself, sometimes out there often mistake the statements that Danny makes and says, oh, it's another slip of the tongue. He dropped another breadcrumb. Well, sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's not.
No,
sometimes Danny just makes a statement to make the statement, and it's not a breadcrumb.
Well, and sometimes Danny will make statements because he's tired of waiting, and he potentially brings information out, even though that information probably should not be out, right, Mike?
If it's in fact a breadcrumb.
Right.
But it's not always a breadcrumb from Danny.
Well, sometimes
so you have to be able to tell the difference.
You know, Lou talks around stuff and drops in breadcrumbs here and there. Danny just blurts them out directly without any.
He does. He does. But you and I are also very well aware privately that sometimes he makes statements he blurts out that are not necessarily breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And people have to be able to differentiate the difference between both of those statements.
Kind of, if you remember when Danny announced that Lou was working for the Space Force when that wasn't supposed to be out there, that could have been a breadcrumb or something that was dropped potentially. He's not the youngest guy either, but it may have been something that was dropped on purpose because Danny's done that a bunch of times with a lot of info that potentially should have gotten out.
Right, but then Danny also makes statements about his diploma, New Paradigm Institute programs as well that are not necessarily breadcrumbs either.
Yeah.
So you have to know the difference. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. Really quick, Laura in the chat says, Maria, the mummy is the real deal. I have to say.
Just prove it. That's all. That's all we're saying.
Well, there is a lot of new evidence that's been coming out from X-rays and CT scans, Mike. So, and they have done some DNA results on these things, and it's not coming back
as off-world. I know.
Well, here's the thing: humans are probably part of us are off-world. A lot of this stuff that we have on our planet is probably off-world and delivered here by asteroids or comets or both.
But we don't have appendages that have 3 extended long fingers.
Well, the only thing that does that we're aware of are grays.
Right. But not that long.
Yeah.
They're shorter.
Well, have we seen a real picture of a gray yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
We're getting there. There's something to it. At least that's the angle that I'm taking. There's something more to this, and we're going to keep on watching this space and potentially see where it goes. You know what? I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to throw this up for the audience for an audience vote. Let's see where our audience takes it. We've got 343 people in there right now. Start a poll. Tridactyls. IDACTYLS. Close enough if I spell it wrong. Tridactyls are 2 answers, friends. Real or fake. Go ahead and vote for it. We've got, hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds, please. Let me go ahead and bring this up, and let's see where our audience takes us. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Starting now, let's go ahead and do it. Let's see where our audience is taking it. Well, our audience, Mike, so far, let me go ahead and bring this up. I am amazed. You might be amazed, too. Where am I talking about? No, not
Three-quarters of them are going with it's real.
Yes. Well, let's get to video solo guest. Yes, right now. 73% of our audience so far is saying that, yes, the tridactyls are real. And, at first I was kind of in, oh my God, Jaime Maussan, like you were, Mike, this can't be real. But as the evidence has been piling up on this stuff, it's looking more and more like it's something that's actual. It's something that's not been faked or hobbled together, that, we've got something interesting that they're finding down in Peru. And Peru is a very interesting place because don't forget, we've got the Nazca lines. We've got the ancient Peruvian, the ancient civilizations that were there and stuff. There's a lot of interesting things that go back in Peru's history. So, you know what? With just 24 seconds left, our count has gone up to 77%. If I could ask, Ed, how would you vote? Are they real or are they fake? Ed? Anybody? Yeah.
My vote is the same as it's always been.
I know. Ashes, what say you?
I think they're real.
Real?
Excellent.
I think they're very much real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of odd that they just keep finding, these bodies. And they did do a DNA test and found that it only shares, I think it's like 29% of our DNA.
Right.
So it's not human.
But don't forget, humans share a lot of DNA with a lot of other species on this planet, like mice and other things. So, so there's.
I don't know if it shares any other DNA. I didn't.
Yeah.
Remember all that, but I did just see it. I know that they did a test on it and it came out. So
it'd be interesting to see if it shares any of the junk DNA that humans have, because supposedly that's where the evidence is in the human biome, if you want to call it, that we're part alien.
Aha. So maybe that's somewhere that we should look.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So speaking of DNA, I was going to comment on what's his reality check VIP, Hollywood Herald. He left a super chat for us talking about transgender versus transgenic mice.
Transgenic, yes.
Yes. So it's kind of weird, still not great, but they have grown ears and stuff on the backs of mice. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, yeah. They've done a lot of interesting. That's where a lot of, if you want to call it, clinical trials go through for different species. They'll do it on mice first. Like they've been learning how to go ahead and regrow teeth and other things. They've got it working in mice, and now they're going to start doing it in humans.
Yeah, it's a little crazy that we use mice. That I just don't see how mice are like humans, but maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I need to ask the question of good old ChatGPT, if I can go find it here. Bring it out on my desktop, and I asked the question, how much DNA do humans and mice share?
Enough that they were directly responsible for the death of Gene Hackman and his wife, because they carried that virus that killed the wife first and then the husband.
Well, humans and mice share about 85% of their DNA. So having those tridactyls share 23% of the human DNA, that's less than what mice are. But they're still...
I just said, wow, that is just so crazy. You wouldn't have thought that,
Yeah. I mean, look, they take pig hearts and pig livers potentially, and they're using it in humans for different things. So, and they're trying to get it so they can actually grow human organs in pigs for transplantation back into humans. So yeah, science is really getting interesting these days.
Yeah, and who knows, we might even get replacement organs after a while.
Yeah, or they may be, if you want to call it, 3D printed organs. You never know where that's going to go.
I'm leaning hopefully in the direction of 3D printed organs just because of my ethics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As we work our way back to more UFO stuff, this is interesting. We all talk about global disasters and what's going to happen and all those kind of things. Potentially, the Earth turning on its side. We've talked about the flipping of the magnetic poles. This is some history that they're discovering up in Canada, up in Alaska, on almost what seems like a daily basis. Coming to us from a site in Alaska that they call the Boneyard. Get to this one here. All right, so this moose rack that they were about to show was found frozen in the muck 70 feet below the surface amidst other bones of extinct Ice Age creatures. We've since learned never lived here during the Ice Age. Here's a conundrum. We've since been told by experts that moose didn't live here during the Ice Age. They're browsers, not grazers. So now what? Moose aren't extinct. The mystery just keeps on getting more. So what do we have here? We have a photo of a moose rack that was found 70 feet down below a layer or in a layer that has a bunch of ash that looked like it came from, if you want to call it, there was a major burnout, a major fire, a major explosion in the air that happened at the last Younger Dryas period about 12,500 years ago. And they're finding creatures that scientists or anthropologists say should not exist at that location. But guess what, Mike? Science is wrong again, because they're finding it. And more importantly, this isn't an archaeological site. This is a, if you want to call it, private archaeological site. So the evidence they're finding to disprove some of these, if you want to call it, assumptions or hypothesis that our scientists, once they get into it, it's what they call scientism. It's when they're the methods that they have for science or anthropology or different areas are more important to maintain than actually if they find facts that disprove them.
Yeah, and now we're in Graham Hancock territory, and he was correct. And he's not a really main core archaeologist, but he turned archaeology on its head. So,
and,
no, I agree with that.
And not that far from this particular location, Mike, they've actually even found remnants of monkeys and other things. So in that particular part up in Alaska, they're saying that they had tropical, if you want to call it, conditions. Clearly, it's different temperatures than it was today, or even 12,500 years ago. Potentially, if the Earth was on its side for a period and it rectified itself, it could explain it, because that would actually take Alaska and put it more near the equator than it would being towards the poles. Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, the boneyard, from what I understand, is actually a guy who's a gold miner, and he's unearthing all this stuff. Well, he actually I think he uses water blasting to,
they use water blasting to find all this stuff. And what's interesting is at that same layer where we had the Younger Dryas period, there's a huge amount of gold deposits, which definitely put it towards something happening from the sun potentially.
Yes, I've only heard about this boneyard recently. I think it was on Joe Rogan. They had the guy who owns it, and you've got all these objects that are turning up. They've got footage of them blasting this soil, and it's all these bones and everything. It's
all right there. It's at the layer. And they all died at one time. There was a mass casualty event that happened, that there was tons of charred material and gold deposited among those shards and those bones. So there was definitely some kind of a celestial event that took place at that time.
Yeah, the only place it reminds me of is actually here in the UK. We have the south coast of England. It's actually called the Jurassic Coast. And that was over millions of years. And we have landslides, and we have all these fossils turn up. If you give it enough time, and that'd be in the future what you'll be finding in that place.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. It's something that's interesting as all heck as we cover it. Now, I got one more thing talking about ancient histories that are just kind of wild, we can't figure out, but it's something that's even more interesting. If we put our sights on South Africa for a minute, let me go ahead and bring this up here next video. All right, here we go. Miners in South Africa have been pulling perfectly machined spheres out of 3-billion-year-old rock formations, an impossibility by every measure. Some of these spheres are so precise in shape and balance that even NASA engineers have reportedly admitted they exceed modern manufacturing standards. These aren't random stones, and some have perfectly parallel grooves carved around them, as if they were turned on a lathe. Now, science, of course, brushes them off as natural formations, but since when does nature randomly carve symmetrical metal spheres with machine-like markings into billion-year-old rock? Let me bring these up. Never. Here are some images of those objects, Mike. They're amazing.
That's like naturally occurring 90-degree right angles. Doesn't that exist in nature?
No, it doesn't exist in nature. So going ahead and calling it out and saying we've got something here, they call them an opart, which means it's something that's an out of place artifact that we see. Yeah, something that's over 1 billion years old, and to that level of precision. I guess they could say it may have been naturally forming, but that seems like more like an excuse more than anything, isn't it?
That doesn't look naturally occurring to me.
No,
not at all. And they carbon dated this to be at least 1 billion years old, these artifacts?
1 billion years old, Mike.
Holy shit.
So where is it at? 3 billion year old rock formations. Not 1 billion, but 3.
No, there's no way that was man-made. No way.
Well, made by something intelligent, we could say.
Yeah, but definitely not humans. obviously.
Well, exactly.
This is interesting. Very interesting.
Humans weren't, well, if we go by the tale of the Sumerians,
yeah,
humans were created by the Anunnaki about 200,000 years ago, and that's what
Not
aligns
3
with
billion.
all modern history at this point.
Yeah,
We
not 3 billion.
we popped up about 200,000 years ago, not 3 billion.
Right. Well, here's the thing: the Earth itself is 4.5 billion years old, right?
Yeah.
So 3
Potentially.
billion years ago, right? But 3 billion years ago, if so far our estimates of time chronologically is correct, the Earth wasn't in a state that would be habitable by living life 3 billion years ago.
Well, according to modern science, but we've found many times that modern science isn't exactly right all the time.
Well, that's true, but we're still going back sufficiently enough in this planet's history that there should be nothing intelligent running around at that time.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, my friend. There's a lot of things we find underground that don't necessarily purport to our accepted time frames, but all we have to say is, whether it's historism or scientism, whatever it is, science and historians and everyone, and archaeologicism, whatever you want to call it, tend to get in the way of bringing the truth out because it doesn't conform to what is the accepted knowledge base. I would say if we find evidence that takes our existing knowledge base and turns it upside down, that means our existing knowledge base needs to be turned upside down. Ashes, what do you think?
Well, science is ever evolving, ever changing. And just a quick thought on what those look like to me. And I want to know what you think. It looks like it could be part of a game. It also looks like it could be part of gears for something. And if it was part of gears or a game, I mean, look how cool that would be if we actually took that into consideration, that maybe we don't know everything about our timeline.
Yeah. Actually, for me, this one up here looks like a model of Death Star. Star Wars.
Or bocce ball, which is an Italian game. Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Exactly.
My Star Wars is very happy.
Nice. Lots of possibilities of what it could potentially be. Let's jump on.
Maybe the Italians are older than we thought they were.
True.
Definitely feel older than I am, so maybe you're right.
There you go. Michael Sokoloff, your hand is up, my friend, as well.
Yeah, it's funny. Those spheres look like meteorites. They look like if you magnify small meteorites, they look very similar.
Oh, really? There's something called tektite balls or something like that as well that they have that looks like they could be from some kind of celestial collision that happened down. They're found throughout Australia, I believe, and also throughout the southern Indian Ocean.
So how big are these objects that we're looking at? Like,
I don't know.
Do they tell you, or because it looks like the
No, they're not. There's nothing.
Left,
here's one
that they're photoshopped in.
These are photoshopped. These ones here, the ones that are backed on the green, actually look like they're on some kind of felt.
Yeah.
Let's see, what are these things called here?
Could it be fossilized poo balls that all pet owners in our audience that they uncovered from something from that time? But I don't know why there would be grooves in the center of those discs. That doesn't make sense either.
All right, let me go to the good old ChatGPT and ask it what it thinks. Where did I lose
Dung
it?
beetles, maybe?
If it's pet pellets, which anyone that has cats or dogs is familiar with, it wouldn't have those markings on it. It's
okay, so
odd.
these Clercer-Dorp spheres are typically about 0.5 to 10 centimeters in diameter, anywhere from 0.2 to 4 inches in diameter. The metallic-looking objects have been found in pyrophyte deposits in South Africa, specifically near Otchet, and are estimated to be around 3 billion years old. And it's something that's up for debate and intrigue. So yeah, very interesting.
So maybe something hit the Earth 3 billion years ago that created these things.
Possibly, but it's interesting. We only had that hit 3 billion years ago and never again since.
Exactly. So it was an event that was an event that doesn't happen very often or rarely at all.
Who knows what state the solar system was at that particular time where that went on? And potentially, is it something that's left as residue from an ancient intelligent civilization? Or is it something that was just delivered to the planet potentially from another ancient civilization on another planet?
If the Earth, they've aged the Earth at 4.5 billion years old. So 3 billion years ago would have still been when the Earth was cooling down or starting to cool down.
Yeah.
Homo sapiens started appearing about 400,000 years ago.
Yeah, so it's nothing that would be humans running around back then responsible for any of this.
Exactly, yeah. No, I think it's some kind of celestial event, like a meteorite hitting or an asteroid hitting and creating, that was made out of certain material that created these things, just like micrometeors, because they look
so going on, and if you call it the Archean eon, from 4 billion years ago to 2.5 billion years ago, Earth's crust continued to solidify and volcanic activity was rampant. The first stable continental landmasses started forming. The atmosphere was rich in volcanic gases with little to no oxygen. 3.5 billion years ago, the first evidence of microbial life appeared. And then about 2.5 billion years ago, the Earth's internal heat production slowed down as radioactive elements decayed. So depending on where it's from, it's definitely from Earth's earlier ages, that to say the least.
But nothing living at that early age of Earth's time frame, according to what you just read.
Well, nothing living that would be intelligent. 3.5 billion years ago, the first microbial life appears, supposedly.
Well, biolife didn't create these objects we're looking at, obviously.
No, heck no. Not at all. Exactly, my friend. Let's get back into the studio and see what else we have here. Yeah, I know I've got a video I'm trying to find here. We got some interesting news about Nikola Tesla. Let's get to this. Oh, we got that one from Gary Nolan, and I've got another one. Okay. What do I have here today? All right, so Gary Nolan. We got a couple of clips here with Gary Nolan. Says there are more groups doing what Skywatcher is doing right now. He's saying, quote, "We know how to call them," end quote. Next quote. Skywatcher is one group of several that I'm aware of that are doing it independently. We actually have Gary Nolan going and replying to this one. Let me go ahead and get this video up to go ahead and bring it up. This is a short 1 minute and 30-second clip coming from that Peter Scavefish interview with Maura Mindrilla, who is the director of strategy for Soul Foundation, and Gary Nolan himself. Let me go ahead and bring this clip up. Let's play it and give us something to talk and debate about. Let's get to it. Here we go.
The information's out there. It's already pretty well understood. I mean, look, there's been enough whistleblower types where the information of how to do this has leaked out. We know how to call them. Whether you believe in psionics or not, it seems to be part of the process. So we know how to call them. The question is not, can you video them? I mean, Skywatcher has already shown that you can video them. And there'll be more of that kind of stuff, I think, coming in the future. So Skywatcher is one group of several that I'm aware of that are doing it independently. So that's citizen science. I mean, I think the answer is you don't wait for the government to do it for you. You don't wait for daddy or mommy to tell you what's going on. You just do it yourself. Because as long as you're not going out there with guns or energy weapons trying to pull something down and get yourself in a bad situation, there's no reason people can't do it themselves and organize. So that I think is the threat in a way that one needs to use against the governmental authorities who think that they hold all the marbles at this point. They don't anymore, because the people who've been in the program, like Jake and others who've made that statement publicly, have basically made their knowledge and ability public. So do it.
There you go. Just go ahead and do it. I like that statement. That's a good way to do it. We have the ability. You know, Mike, I guess it comes down to, if you remember when you're a teenager, remember back in those days?
Yeah.
And you went and had sex for the first time. Did you go ahead and ask your mom and dad first, or did you just go ahead and do it?
Oh, just went and did it, obviously.
Exactly. It's the same kind of thing we're talking about here with UFOs. You know, the government's been trying to go ahead and classify an entire, if you want to call it, category of life forms. Not just one, there's probably multiple ones that are here. An entire category of life forms has been classified from modern day humanity. It just doesn't make sense.
That's like classifying the moon or any celestial object. They don't really have the legal right to do that.
Or a specific species of ants that's intelligent. Or giant 10-foot black spiders that eat humans and come out of the caves on a regular basis.
Yeah, we've covered that in the past.
Oh, many times.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of those.
Look, if they're all drinking the Kool-Aid and believe Jake Barber and Dr. Stephen Greer is truthful, then they need to just show us the proof. It's put up or shut up time.
Yeah, and it's not like Gary said in this clip, we shouldn't go ahead and record it. He said it can be recorded. And if there are multiple groups going and doing this, absolutely do what they should all get together. And it's talking about getting more people together who know how to do this. Again, this is bringing together people who are seasoned and skilled at meditation, taking their skills and putting them towards a particular thing. And I've talked about this many times in the past. Let's go ahead and not just deal with the UFO community. There are these giant groups of communities of people who do meditation, and they have, there's a, what do you call it? A YouTube channel called Awaken the World Film, does a great amount of samadhi meditation and trainers and other stuff to get people. But they have events where they have people around the world in different time zones doing these big meditations. And if we really want to connect with the non-human intelligence, I've been saying for the longest time, we need to go ahead and connect with these particular sets of groups of people that are large, that are organized, that have the skills to do it, and let's get them to call them down in masses. Andy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just wonder why Gary Nolan's so invested in this. He's a scientist. You know, he sees the empirical facts. You know, why is he so invested? Has he actually seen this psionics being done to bring objects down? You know, why is somebody like him that invested in it now and believing in it? That's the only way I conceive it. You know, he has actually been there when something's been done. Yeah, you know, you've said it before on this show. Why have they, you know, paid all the
videotape it? Why don't they videotape it? Why don't they produce evidence to that? If, especially a scientist of Gary's caliber and nature, why isn't there proof to show us beyond a shadow of a doubt?
I have a feeling I am getting a word. No, I'm getting a message from the beyond. No, this will be given to us this year. Even if we're not going to get proper disclosure from our government, we will get the information we're looking for about this situation this year. And if not,
bring these things down, Thomas. You know, these things. If they're genuine, these people can do this in reality. Can bring these craft down. Do it in front of the White House. Do it in Times Square.
Do it in a football in a UK. Do it in a UK football in a regular soccer / football stadium. Do it in an NFL football stadium. Do it on the street in front of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Do it someplace to where, when you've got this going on, that you're not just going to have a select group of people that you want to include for it, that you've got a mass audience. I guess that would kind of be like a catastrophic disclosure. Not really. We're just going ahead and showing a bunch of people evidence that cannot be denied of, yes, you saw something come down and this is what happened. And I think we need that. I think humanity needs that.
Actual disclosure, not catastrophic, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It would be catastrophic for you know, certain members of society. When
to the public, that might be a little shocking, but it's actual disclosure, like Thomas pointed out.
Yeah.
But look, there has been accounts of people that have claimed in their homes they have been disturbed repeatedly with orbs flying all around for many, many years, but not one camera was ever present during those times. So, I'm still of a mind that until we can see hard, actual evidence, it's nothing more than anecdotal at this point.
Just like if you've got green orbs coming into your house for years.
Get out the neighbors.
And the neighbors. Get out the cameras, set them up, and record this stuff.
Right.
Right?
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah. Live stream the stuff. Why not?
Yeah,
Get it out there.
Why not? That's right. I understand they even have their own YouTube channel, so please, by all means, live stream it.
Oh, I have to agree with that completely. You got a bunch of people in their hands back. Very interesting topic for everybody. Let's get to Ed Brown next. Go ahead.
Well, and one quick point on that last thing about having the cameras out there. It almost appears as if the reciprocal is true. They don't appear where there are cameras because they don't want to be filmed, perhaps, and they're determining where they'll be seen and when they'll be seen. I think that's a possibility. But I got a question. This has been bugging me. If you've said this, Thomas, and Gary Nolan has said this, that we know how to call them. How do you call them? Does anyone have an answer?
Yes.
ET phone home, Ed.
Yeah,
no, it's not. We're not bringing out the record player and the little thing to move it back and forth and advance it with the wind and the whole thing like it was in ET. No, it comes down to meditation, a deep meditative state to where I practice a combination of crown chakra meditation, as I call it, mixed with samadhi meditation. Then you go ahead and once you get to that particular state of mind, you go ahead and project out both memory and emotion.
But aren't you taking a big risk when you do that, Thomas? I mean, I can just see it now. You go into your meditation state and you say, I want to see you, and your ex-wife shows up instead of the ET. What do you do then?
Give her to the. I offer her. I continue calling in the ETs and give her to the ETs.
Maybe so.
Do you practice to the ETs human sacrifice? No. Yes. Oh, please do now. Start now. Here's the subject.
Well, that's why I said, how do you call them? Because it would appear as if there's several different species, you kind of need to know some routing number to get to the particular species that you want to show up.
Maybe it's kind of like I was saying, put you want to call it bait on a hook, but this is more like kind of like pouring blood and guts in the water to attract the sharks. What it's kind of more like, potentially these things feed off of our emotions. So going out there and putting these emotions up may bring something closer to you because these things are hungry.
Well, let me make a serious statement. We've been having a little levity with this subject here for a second. Let me make a serious statement. If we really believe that they will only show themselves when they want to be seen, and that they will disclose to us little bits and pieces as they want to disclose, then I just don't see how we make this big loop to make them appear almost against their will just because we called them.
Maybe that's how they communicate, and they can't hear us. Hey, UFOs, come on down. They can't hear us yelling. They can't hear us doing anything else, but they can pick up and they can deal with the vibrations and the quantum connections coming from our quantum brain as we go ahead and broadcast this stuff out there. It attracts them. Clearly, it attracts them. So this is, either something that's really interested in what's going on or something that's hungry and feeds on us. We just have to realize, are they coming here to help us, or do they have more of a primal need for when they send some of this stuff, that they send their stuff down because they're hungry? Ashes?
Well, anybody that's familiar with the general public and how emotional most everybody is, I don't care who you are, if you're over this planet with our 8 billion plus souls down here on Earth with us, everybody, every moment of every day, 24/7, is highly emotional. People going through stressful situations, war zones, conflicts. So if they feed off of that, it would be like a shark's feeding frenzy with
right,
blood in the
but
water.
here's the thing: the normal people going through their anxiety, through their fear, for any of this, their hatred, for their rage, any of the stuff's going on, it's very isolated to them. When you take someone who is skilled in meditation, can do out of body and a bunch of other stuff, can take and break that thing that's around us and put off this really strong and resonating signal, it's strong enough to attract them.
Right. And if that's been established and they can do that for a fact, anybody, and the government allegedly has been behind this type of research for many decades now, then these people are starting to come out publicly, like, you know, Stephen Greer, Jake Barber. Just get a goddamn camera and bring one of them down. That's
Bingo.
It. That's
well, not even bring it. Yeah,
saying.
bring it down. Bring it close enough to where we can get some decent imaging of it. And more importantly, just don't do it for your private party. Do it for the masses. Right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's been our point the entire time. And until we get proof to support any of those claims, our point will not change.
Well, your point won't change, but I know where my point is on this. They need to bring it down. I know it's something that's possible, can go on. I've actually done some baiting of things, and I didn't get the light show I was hoping for. I got their manager. So, yeah, there's stuff we can do that can attach it to us. But, yes, it can be dangerous because if you go high enough in the management or whatever you want to call it, pecking order for this, they can make an attachment to you that's permanent. And it will never go away. So, yeah, there's always a danger side to this. So you always have to be careful what the hell you're connecting with because you may not be able to snip that tether to disconnect it from you.
When you guys do that, it brings like a cosmic string. And I really do believe that that is possible. But I think right now is kind of the perfect time to bring up my idea about what psionics might be. And you guys might be able to riff off of this. So, you know, I study a lot of DARPA stuff, and it's very interesting because a lot of the projects have been kind of put in the back ends of the web. So unless you know exactly what you're looking for, it's hard to just pull it up on their website, but they still have it out there. So, think of it like this, psionics or like mind powers that might link up with these ops, N3 is a brain chip. So it's like a brain computer hookup, wires in your head, talking to machines. And then ACE is supercharging your thinking, like a brain boost. And then REMA is the wild card, rewiring memories or feelings on the fly. So they could be testing this stuff in the shadows and no one would even know. It's just a theory. So imagine spies playing with your head like sci-fi, but real. I mean, maybe part of the drones, I'm not saying all of them, but maybe part of the drones that we see in the sky are them like testing this stuff out.
That was part of the situation when we had said before about the drones. Potentially there could be a non-human intelligence event going on, and our government is trying to distract us by throwing up a bunch of their drones.
Yeah, it's very likely because I don't think we're just ever seeing one thing in the sky. And a lot more people are looking up. And so we have a bunch of different theories, and maybe they're all, credible. They've all got some credibility to it. So I don't think it's right to discount anybody's experience. I think everybody's experience is valid. I just think that there are things like the projects that I mentioned that may be a little bit more concrete for people to understand, but then there are things that are psychic and more spiritual and connected in that cosmic way.
And remember, when we talk spiritual, think of consciousness, because I've seen a bunch of people on Twitter tying back, if you want to call it this, consciousness specifically to Catholicism and everything else like this. Consciousness is part of the human being. The human state, the human
angels or demons, Thomas. I agree.
But sometimes people have like that locked in syndrome, for instance, and they can still be conscious and aware, but they can't do anything about it. So consciousness is a whole different state of being than dealing with like angels or demons.
Right. And when I go into a state of meditation, I am entering a different state of consciousness, not a different state of spirituality that ties back to the saints or Jesus or stuff that deals with the Catholic Church. That's over there. This is just something we all have in humanity.
Right.
So let's remind everybody that the Catholic Church and all forms of modern man-made religion is all created by human beings.
Right.
Not celestial in nature. Right, Thomas?
Correct.
So you're not having a religious experience during these issues, these times.
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
We need to let the audience know that.
Yep. And I do have additional clarification. I know we got more people with their hands up, but let me get to this first because this goes along with the conversation. As soon as I get through, we got Daniel and then Daryl, but let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Where is it at? All right, here we go. Coming from Gary Nolan, just to clarify, I would edit your comments. Gary Nolan says more groups are doing what Skywatcher is doing right now. By that, I meant precisely the calling. As you noted, Skywatcher is an intensely focused group of people who, beyond advocating ways to allegedly call them, have the means to collect scientific data in ways others are not and will not, because I am designing some of them. Interesting. Many groups use one or another means of intent to allegedly call the groups, as the Tedescos collect data out of sight at sites that they feel are hotspots. Skywatcher is the only group I know of with a comprehensive approach that will lead the field, which is why I am focused on working with them. So there you go. They're trying to bring this stuff down. They're trying not to go ahead and blow it out of the air. They're trying to go ahead and gather data and figure out what it is. But really quick, I want to go ahead and react to this super chat up here from Faiswell for $49.99. Love you guys. Please do us a friend. Give us a hand, folks. I know you're for watching the show, having a good time. Give us a thumbs up. Go ahead and share this live stream with others to go ahead and help us bring in more viewers. And more importantly, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet and you're enjoying the show. We'd love to have you here as a regular on Disclosure tonight. Now,
absolutely.
Let's now get to Sergeant Daniel, and then Daryl, and then Alice.
Yeah, as far as Gary Nolan goes, I think he's probably the most credible person we have out there. There's nobody I don't think that has the credibility that he does out of all of them, be it Sheehan or Elizondo or whatever. But I saw something with Michio Kaku the other day, and he said that what's going to change this whole story is quantum computing. And I think that the reason why everybody's having a hard time grasping what's going on is because they just can't comprehend the whole thing. But I think with the advancement of computers, the answers are going to probably come out of why. You know, it's probably the phenomenon. And he's experienced, Gary Nolan. He's admitted on interviews that he's experienced. I think he was like 12 on a paper route, and that's what kind of spurred him on. But when you hear him talk, he always talks about the phenomenon as something that's just really, really complex and you know, almost supernatural-ish. I do think that, you know, when you listen to people like Michio Kaku, he had a really good point. He said that, you know, soon enough we're going to be able to answer all these questions.
Yeah.
And you know, Gary Nolan's probably one of the smartest guys going at this right now. And he had a lot to lose. He has, I mean, you know, a lot of credibility. I mean, there've been presidential candidates that fall right off the, off the thing. So, I mean, I think, to me, he has a lot of credibility. I don't know what other people think. But I would listen to him. And I think he's just, right now, it's just a little over his head. But I think eventually, he'll wrap his head around it. And he'll get some pretty good answers.
I hear you, my friend.
The information's out there.
Subject of quantum computers.
You know, it's already pretty well understood.
About that. Turned on audio. It shouldn't have been. If you look at quantum computers, you know, they just had the latest Google Sycamore quantum computer was announced as it's the strongest and fastest quantum computer out there. Against, apparently, China has a new Zhangzi 105 qubit quantum computer that outperformed Google Sycamore by over 1 million times. So we always look at China's, trailing behind the world. they're definitely starting to lead the world in science and military technology innovations and what they're doing in space. And potentially, let's see what they may do with bringing out the truth on UFOs. You never know. Let's get on to Daryl Zernick next.
Yeah, I just wanted to. Is Ed still here? Ed?
Ed's here.
So, going back to the question about the orbs flying through living rooms, you had that happen. Why didn't you grab your camera?
Well, in my case, it just wasn't handy. And it moved real fast, too.
I mean, you're a credible observer. You were in the Air Force. I mean, it's seems like you would have grabbed your camera. I'm not criticizing. I'm just joking, actually, because I don't think a lot of people think that's the first thing they're going to do. If I see something in the sky, it's not like I'm going to grab my camera to, do anything. And then I don't know. I just think it's hard to get good evidence. Period.
All right, Daryl, if I could respond to this one, Daryl. The first time I saw an orange UFO or orb flying in front of my house, going right along the same path I've seen them go many times. The first time, I did not have my camera with. But subsequent times I went out there, I sure as hell learned to have my camera with. If I'm going to see this thing, I'm not going to have potentially time to run and go to the house, find my phone, and bring it back out. I made sure whenever I'm going out in the front at nighttime, I always have my camera with me, because if you see something and you want to record it, you have to change your behavior. To say, well, I've had these things flying around my house for 7 years and I never recorded any of them, that's just, for me, why would you not want to record this if you're seeing it on a regular basis in your house or on your street?
Sure, I get it. And actually, your words echo kind of every time I take my dog out and it's night. So I always have my camera. I always have a high beam, small flashlight, a laser. I mean, I'm ready to go.
You have to be. You have to be. So yeah, you've got the right idea. And sometimes when people are talking about this and are seeing these things for time and time again, it's like, where the heck are the cameras? No, not that one with Jacques Vallee. I've got a different one here from Jacques Vallee I wanted to bring up. Let's see if I can find it somewhere in my. I thought I had it here. There was an interesting one. Here we go. The
couple of
Jacques Vallee, we all know Jacques, right? He's done a lot of interesting things. He's talking about a situation to where he describes his wife's paranormal experiences that occurred as they were selling their family ranch and moving. Again, someone like Jacques Vallee, they're seeing these things around their house. Why are they not, especially Jacques Vallee, why are they not going ahead and having the equipment there to record this stuff and just seeing it and observing it, being a part of it, but not being an active participant to make sure you're gathering the scientific evidence? Let's go ahead and play this clip right now from an interview with the Signal. Let's get this up here. Nope, not that one. Where did it go? Full guest here, and let's play it.
Shortly before we left, my wife was awakened a couple of times. I wasn't, unfortunately, by a small, actually two small lights that moved around the room. Now, in the room, there were lots of books. I collect rare books, about medieval research and so on.
And here's the thing I want to bring out. He's talking about books, right? Objects that are owned by humans, cherished by humans. There's a resonance, something that someone holds on a regular basis, reads through many times, projects themselves into it, leaves a resonance of their consciousness on those objects. And it's interesting when I heard this the first time that he's talking about these books and seeing orbs fly by them. Here, let me play a little bit more.
Those lights were moving along the books, and then they vanished. Obviously, they would have had to go through the wall if they came from outside.
Or maybe they went back into the book from where they came.
There was no other way to get in.
Many people have described that kind of thing. My wife, Janine, was a psychologist and, well trained in impressions and what the mind does with things in your life and so on. And she assured me that this was physical, that she was awake. She was not in a half asleep stage. And then on the last day, when we had filled out all the papers, emptied the whole place, our neighbors, were friends with our neighbors, and they wanted to expand their property. They bought our ranch, and this was fine. And the last day, my wife was alone there, just getting the last few things and moving back to San Francisco. She was awakened in the middle of the night by an extremely bright white UV light going down the path in front of the house. It was a dirt road going back to a small paved road in the forest.
So again, great sightings, great recounting of the events, but it would go so much further if we had some actual evidence on some of the things that there. Alice,
exactly.
Yeah. It's an important part of the puzzle, isn't it, Mike?
Now, listen, Thomas, we've said this countless times here on the show. Until they can actually produce some hard evidence to support any of these claims, it's nothing more than anecdotal, unfortunately.
Right. Again, if we want to prove this in the court of public opinion, you can't just have testimony. If you want to sway them, you need to have evidence.
Forensic evidence. Yeah.
Forensic evidence, right.
Correct. And we're still waiting. I just hope we don't have to wait indefinitely. That's the problem.
Well, the technology's out there. Even going back to the iPhone 12 from 4 years ago at least, even the iPhone 11 for that matter, it's still there. We have the technology. We have the capabilities to record it. We just have to get people used to
and can't we prove to the audience right now of what we're saying is absolutely true 100%? And I can tell you how we could do that. The point that you're making about being able to document and be able to videotape and show the audience and the world what you're seeing is real and not just a story that you're telling about. I could use Nikki Williams as an example of that. Don't you think, Thomas?
Yeah.
That's exactly what he did. And it's still, to this day, outstanding footage that people have stolen and taken and used on their own away from this show, our platform, and anything else. Because if somebody had done what we're talking about, and like Nikki Williams did, we wouldn't be having this discussion right now, would we?
No.
It would be out there. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that what we're saying is true, and we could back that up with examples of what we're talking about, because it's real.
Saddest situation with the Nikki Williams event that we've got. It's on the channel. It's UFO Reacts to Observer is the actual name of the video. It's on the channel. He's never gone back to that location.
Right. Yep. It was a hell of an experience, and he documented it, and we showed it.
And as I've learned here, life has patterns, and if it was there doing something one night, it's probably going to be there again on another night and another night.
Right, which is why they refer to it as a hotspot, right, Thomas?
Exactly. Alice, your hand is up, my dear lady.
Yeah, Thomas, I was researching the spheres that you put up earlier. I just sent you an email with the title Mulquey Marbles. It's a modern day equivalent of the spheres that you showed. So yes, they are made by nature, and they're not. They don't have any person or thing making them.
Interesting.
I will have that email.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. Thanks, Alice.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Andy?
that is interesting.
Yeah,
Getting
they're
a bad echo.
Mulquey Marbles.
Yes, I'll check that out in a second. I think we're getting a bad echo coming from your device. Alice. may want to leave and come back in again. I had to mute you. It's when I'm talking, it's coming back through your microphone again. Let's get from Alice. She'll leave and come back, and it should take care of the problem. Let's go to Andy.
Yeah.
Andy has his hand up next. Andy, go ahead.
Yeah, I've always found, I've had quite a few experiences of objects and unusual things over the years. It was either before phone cameras were around, or in the time that I've had phone cameras. The phone cameras haven't ever been that I've been able to afford, haven't been up to scratch for filming things. I've only really ever had anything happen at night. And also, I'm a strong believer, that these craft or whatever the heck they are only allow you to see and do what they want you to do. I had a sighting of an orb last year before where I work, and I had and people in chat can think I'm crazy or whatever. I had a command to look up. This thing came from behind me. I had my work building, which is probably 30 foot high. I was parked about 10 foot away from the building. I was facing away from the building, and this thing came from behind me. I had an order. I had look up come into my head. I looked up and I seen this white object pass overhead. I did not for 1 second. I was too focused on trying to, in my head, work out what the hell I was seeing, but to get my phone out and record this. Now, whether that was me just engaged in trying to, what the hell is this thing? And I watched it for about 5 minutes until it went out of my view. I saw it as clear a white light as it went, and it left my zone of vision that we can see. I didn't for 1 second think to get my phone out and start recording it. I really do believe that, it's like you say with these psionics, as I said in chat a bit earlier, these things seem to, if you listen to people who've been abducted, these things, whatever the hell they are, seem to almost have godlike abilities to mess with our minds. They can do whatever the hell they do to us to abduct us, whether you believe it or not. Yet we've got these individuals who can suddenly come in with just a thought, bring these things out of the sky. I think there's a hell of a lot more going on to it than we realize. And I really think that sometimes we're almost overwhelmed.
Well,
with
the first time it
sensation
happens, you're going to say, oh shit, you don't think about it. But if it happens in time and time and time again, you're going to after the second time. I know, but if it did after the first or second time happened, you'd make sure you'd have this stuff set up. So if it happens again, you'll be able to record it.
Yeah, I've only ever had these things happen. It might be a couple of years, 3-4 years in between.
Right.
Different sightings and every single one of them has been completely different. I've never had a single sighting.
Right.
That I might have had one over a couple of weeks, and I'm questioning in my head whether actually it was a genuine or not.
I got you.
But everything else, I've never had a repeat of what I've seen before. It's every time it's been completely different.
Wow.
It's been over. I might have a gap of 5 years, or I might have 6 years or whatever have you. So it's never a repeat that I get into a phase of, I need to take my phone out. I think there's a heck of a lot more going on to this subject than I think it is really deep.
Yes,
really deep.
Absolutely. Now, I do have that picture from Alice really quick. Yeah, thank you for going ahead and bringing that up, Andy. Again, I guess if it comes down to if you're not getting repeat instances happening, that muscle memory is not going to be there to try and get the camera to bring it out. But hopefully in the future, as if you've seen things in the future, hopefully you've learned and you'll have the equipment with you wherever you go. Let's go ahead now. Go ahead, Andy.
I was just going to say, yes. Agree.
Absolutely. Now, if I could for a second get back to Alice was talking about the Moqui marbles that are there. The difference between these and the other objects we were showing earlier that they had found in material that's 3 billion years old, is they are if you want to call it, perfectly symmetrical. They are down to a highest level of detail that exceeds the manufacturing specifications to what we could create on the planet with a lathe. These definitely look more walnut shaped and other different shapes and don't have that level of precision like what was there on the objects that were coming from South Africa. That makes sense, Alice?
Do you see the, yeah, it does, but do you see the banding on them?
Yeah, there's banding and everything, but you can see they're not perfectly spherical.
Correct. What the research I just did showed that these formations can be made by nature.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, when they're not really early on in the history of the Earth, these were formed without a lot of pressure against them. That's why they're round.
Right.
Right. And then the bands were set different types of sediment.
I can't talk when you're on because otherwise it comes back with your microphone. So,
I'm so sorry.
We need you again. There we go. Taken care of. All right, let's get back to it. Ash, does you have your hand up, my friend?
Well, I've got a question, but just to bounce off of what Alice and you just brought up. So both can be true, right? Like it could be made and formed by the Earth 3 billion years ago, but humans could have took them and then carved designs and stuff into them. Like the decahedrons. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But then I had a question because I don't hear very often, I can't recall, but because I am I'm not as experienced as most people in the UAP field. So with these extraterrestrial contacts, has anyone heard of any like really positive, uplifting experiences?
Yeah, there have been people who've talked about being healed of things potentially that have gone along, but the amount of, I would say, the negative experiences that people go through are higher than the positive experiences people recollect.
I just thought that was interesting when I was doing, I do research all the time, and
Yeah,
I
of
just
course.
came across any that were really standout positive kind of experiences. And I just wondered if maybe people could point me in a direction where I could look at that.
Yeah, something we can talk about after the show, definitely.
But one outstanding one, Ashley, of an experience dealing with contact would be from former CIA GS-15 employee John Ramirez, who claims to have had contact in his home at night with extraterrestrials. In one instance, there was one where he was sound asleep and they grabbed his balls. He woke up sharply after that and got into a fist fight with these grays in his house, and had a horrible experience in dealing with that.
That's not a positive one. Unless you like, apparently he doesn't like having his balls tickled by an ET.
Not with those tridactyl 3 long fingers. I wouldn't either if I was him. I can agree with that. Yeah.
Well, I guess we could ask him: are they warm-blooded or cold-blooded?
Oh, good point. That's some scientific data that we could use on this. Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to know that question myself.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah.
No, the eye of beauty is in the beholder.
That's true.
All right, Daryl,
100%, yeah.
Your hand is up, my friend. Save us.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm sorry, you called on the wrong person. I was just going to say, since we're still talking about balls, I was going to talk about balls earlier, but you went on to another subject. But the balls that you showed in one of the images, I looked it up while you're looking, and it looks a lot like obvious balls.
Well, Ivy's little metal balls were very much smaller, and that was something from coal ash is what they predicted it was from.
But there's one of Avi's balls looks a lot like the balls that you showed earlier. Like I said, you picked the wrong person. But anyway.
Oh, that's okay.
Commercial slag, they classified his balls at, from what I remember. Right, Thomas?
Yes.
Slaggy balls. All right.
Those are the ones.
Where is that ad video? There you go. That's what we're talking about. But these are much larger. Definitely.
Yeah, it's the one in the upper right-hand corner. That one.
That one up there?
Yeah. That one. The little one.
Yeah. But
If
even
you
the
look
ones down here, which you can't necessarily see, let me make it a little bit smaller and bring that window up a little bit more. My God, they almost look like burgers. Burgers on a plate.
Is that a brioche bun? Oh, over there. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The one right down here looks like a burger on a plate.
Yeah, they do. But look at the one, the gray one on the left top corner with the gold band. That doesn't look naturally occurring to me at all. Not with two different colors.
Oh.
Right. So that's the point about these objects.
And they are spherical, and they have the appearance of being on some kind of lathe because the accuracy of the actual shapes on the outside goes beyond the precision of what we have in modern times.
Or 3 billion years ago, for that matter, considering there was no civilization back then.
No, not at all.
Right. That's right. The time frame alone makes these mystery objects, I think.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. 3 billion years old, you get stuff like this. You just have to jump into it and figure out what the hell are we dealing with here.
Exactly.
Susan Go was still the spokesperson for the Defense Department back 3 billion years ago. Seems to be. He's been there forever. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised the U.S. government didn't classify these.
Yeah. And here's the thing really quick I want to bring up. Christopher Sharp from the Liberation Times has a small tweet up here I want to just comment on.
Oh, it's
everybody.
a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, no, he's put a bunch of ones out there. I've just got one of them captured here to go ahead and bring out. Let's go ahead and where is that ad video? Solo guest. All right, Christopher Sharp. Okay. Why were materials from the 1950s so sensitive that they had to be blocked by the CIA, despite efforts from Lockheed Martin, Senator Harry Reid, and the DHS.gov, right? So we're talking about these UFO materials that Lockheed had in their presence, right? That they wanted to transfer from Lockheed's ownership to OSAP to be further investigated. And that was blocked at that time by the CIA.
The Office of Science and Technology. That's
right,
correct.
but the most interesting thing here is materials from the 1950s. We're not talking about modern crash recovery, modern materials. We're talking about materials from the 1950s. Long time ago. You're talking 70 plus years ago. So if we're doing all this recovery and bringing down UFOs and all these different things like purported, why is it that the materials that they were trying to bring to OSAP, to Bigelow Aerospace and blocking it, weren't from modern times? They were from the 50s.
Well, if it's the 1950s that we're talking about, it's not Roswell, which was back in 47.
Yeah, of course.
It's the Kingman crash back in, I think, 54.
Yeah.
Kingman, yeah. That's the recovered materials that they're talking about. I didn't know that the government had classified it. It was Kingman, Arizona, 1953.
Yep.
That's got to be what Chris Sharp is
But either
referring
way,
to.
we're not talking about materials from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, any of that time frame. It's really old shit. So,
right. So, what would the government's explanation be back in the early 1950s? Well, that was the height of the Cold War between us and Russia. And if they recovered anything, they might have classified it simply because they thought it was Russian tech.
Oh, they would have known then if it was Russian tech or something from space. Let's be honest. We weren't that stupid back then.
No, that's a good point. But yeah, no, it's odd that they're classifying that material that far back.
Yeah, it is. So, how much have we done since then? How much have we recovered since then? This, for me, puts a big question mark on it because materials from the 50s and they were blocking it. I'm surprised they wouldn't have tried to get more modern materials unless they don't have more modern materials.
Well, look, Thomas, we have spoken quite often, especially recently, about the Wilson-Davis memo and Dr. Eric Davis and Admiral Thomas Wilson, and Lockheed Martin blocking Admiral Wilson from accessing the reverse engineering program that they were conducting back in 2002 when he went investigating this. I'm sure that the materials that they had at that time were probably from the 1950s.
Exactly.
Right.
Not something recent.
No. You're correct about that.
Yeah. Not something recent. We all hope on it. You look at this stuff and figure, well, they must have been bringing down this stuff all the time and capturing it. You don't know. Especially this points away from that. Exactly. Ed Brown, your hand is up.
Well, let's put it in a time perspective. Also, if we're talking about a civilization that's hundreds of thousands of years
ahead of us,
ours,
yeah,
then a difference of 30 or 40 Earth years doesn't make any difference at all. In other words, the craft in 1950 may have had the same technology as
of course, yeah. Oh, heck yeah. No, I'm just saying is they're not trying to get materials from a crash that happened in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, or 90s. They were blocked from material to get that was acquired in the 50s. I'm just pointing out the difference of we think these retrievals and crash retrievals have been going on a regular basis. If it was, why would they be going after material from the 1950s? And why wouldn't Lockheed have more recent material? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, that's a good point. But another good point, though, is why would Lockheed Martin want to get rid of it? Everyone knows that there's money in it if someone does a breakthrough.
Well, supposedly they said they wanted to divest of the materials because they can't get anywhere with it. They have a small amount of scientists who are cleared by the government to go ahead and work on it. With that small amount of people that are there, they can't make any advances with it. And potentially with the risks or other stuff that would go through with them having this within their possession, they may not want to have it.
Well, they don't. And one of the reasons for that, and we can share this with the audience, we have before, is that they've been in possession of this for decades. They're one of the longest contractors that has been trying to crack this nut under military contract for the government. And Dr. Eric Davis, bringing him up again, has plainly stated recently that they have difficulty in cracking the material science. We're still not able to do it in all this time. So as a corporate for-profit company, which Lockheed is, they don't want to be stuck in something that is not progressing or moving forward. They have stockholders, after all, that they have to answer to.
Right.
So they wanted to divest themselves of this because they felt it was a losing proposition.
Mike, and talk about what potentially happened if they gained this material and they made advances and they had a competitive advantage given to them by the federal government that gave them the opportunity to get contracts that other defense contractors didn't get. And now you have this huge issue going on with the SEC. Talk about that for a second while I step away.
It would be a huge liability issue from a corporate structure because now they had an unfair advantage against other aerospace companies that would have then had equal access to this material and didn't. And some of those companies have gone bankrupt as a result of not having that type of technological edge or advantage that Lockheed did. And now they would be facing class action lawsuits, criminal liability. It would be something that any corporation would look to avoid at all costs because it could destroy their company. So they wouldn't want to be caught with their pants down. And one of the reasons that it came out recently that Lockheed was again trying to divest itself of this material is because if you remember when they first proposed the first original NDAA to have the UAP Disclosure Act in it, they were talking about eminent domain and being able to go and seize any privately held material that companies like Lockheed were in possession of. Lockheed at that point, the lawyers decided they don't need to be the one holding the ball when that foot would drop and be out all of the money that they've invested. So they decided to try to get rid of it. Problem was they weren't able to do that. No other company wanted to take this material from them. So they got caught holding the bag. They're still in a position where they have to deal with this material for the government, and it's a losing proposition for them. But what turned around was Representative Mike Turner from Ohio. He gutted the eminent domain out of the UAPDA. And for the past 2 NDAAs that were passed, there has been no UAP legislation that has survived going through the legislative process.
Did we bring it up last night that Rounds is talking about bringing that legislation back for a third time?
Yeah, I think we touched base on it.
Oh yeah, that's just a hot mess.
So let's give our audience a heads up, like we have the last 2 times around. What do you think the outcome of that's going to be for the third time?
Same it was the last, unless they put it into smaller bite-sized chunks. It'll probably die the same way that it has the last 2 times. Take it for a second again.
Yep, exactly.
And I believe Tia has her hand up as well, Mike. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go right ahead. Go ahead, Tia.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Mike, when you said that the government about domain,
eminent domain, Tia.
Yeah, because that's exactly why. Well, I don't know if that's exactly why Lockheed wanted to give it up.
Oh, it was one of the main reasons, Tia, just so you know. Yeah.
Just if they're going to be paying all this money for it, and then here comes the government. But see, I think a lot of that is, I don't know, because their hands they're tied together like this. So even though, Lockheed and their shareholders are paying for this, the government is still paying for this. So they're both paying for it. But Lockheed wanted to get rid of it because they had a deadline to go and tell the truth. And they didn't do that.
Right. And they weren't going to. So for them, it was like, if you remember when we were kids, remember the game we used to play, Hot Potato?
Yep.
This turned out to be Hot Potato for them. And they had to go out of their way to try to dump it as quickly as possible.
But Mike, also we have to bring up the situation and scenario that Lockheed is being illegally paid money without the appropriations potentially coming from Congress, and they could get no oversight, no disclosure to Congress, which means they could get in trouble for getting illegally funded by the deep state and the federal government.
And that's what David Grush was talking about, how money was being laundered to places it wasn't supposed to go.
Right. Like, that's
how he found all that stuff.
Look at the James Webb Space Telescope. It took 10 years longer to go ahead and make that telescope than it was supposed to. The last year of funding for that telescope was more than the entire contract of what they were supposed to get paid for creating that telescope. Are you going to tell me, yes, it's a great piece of work, but are you going to tell me the cost went that much out of control that they had to pour that much money into it year after year after year? It just seems like there's some place else that money is potentially going to.
You know what, Thomas? You just said something that made a light bulb go off in my head. So President Trump just said the other day that he gave Boeing a contract to build, I don't know, more planes, I think.
Air Force One.
They took the contract, they bid on it, they negotiated, they got the money for it. Well, he's president again, and I don't know if Boeing forgot that it was Trump that gave him this deal. They want more money. And Trump said, yeah, no, you're not getting any more money.
That's for Air Force One. They were supposed to be building Air Force One and Air Force Two. Trump got them down to under $4 billion. It was like $3,999,000, $999.99 was the dollar amount they got the contract down to. But they're still having overages because, well, let's just say Boeing isn't the most efficient, the best example of an efficient aerospace company these days.
Well, they're falling out of the sky, so I think.
Well, you mean the Starliner? Yeah.
Oh, jeez. But it just, the whole system is screwed up. I mean, literally. And I don't think even sometimes when I sit and listen, I think maybe these people really just have no idea. They just go about their business every day, taking money from the government, robbing Paul to pay Peter all the time. And it seems like everything gets lost in that shuffle.
Yeah. I hear you. I hear you. It's a good point. And it's just, you just have to figure out what to believe, I guess, is the best way to put it to you.
Yeah, follow the money also.
Yeah, absolutely. Now before we get on to our next video clip to round out the evening, we got Andy, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, you brought up the James Webb Telescope. Now, I personally, and I don't know if anybody else, I've not heard anything from there lately. So is it still being used? Is it still functional?
Yeah,
it's a lot of money down the drain if it's not.
Yeah, they're still using it. I think when they had that one potential asteroid that was coming hit the planet, I think they actually turned James Space Telescope towards that to figure it out. I've seen some other imagery coming of different space system or star systems they've been going towards. So yeah, the James Webb Space Telescope, it's still getting micrometeorite impacts that are happening to the lens as it's going on, and they're adapting to it. But it's definitely technology that's still in use.
24/7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of which, don't forget, the government gets a bunch of time on that telescope. Let's just say the military gets a bunch of gets a lot of time on that telescope for them to go look at whatever they potentially want to be looking for. Is your hand up again?
I wanted to say, they keep saying they're finding shit. Like they just found a planet, they think, in our solar system that's just kind of like free floating. I don't know how that works.
Oh, Planet X, they've been trying to find that one for a while.
And then they said that there's another planet, looks like maybe more close to us, that's forming. I don't know how that would happen. So just wanted to say that to Andy.
All right, let me just get to it here. What's the latest news from the James Webb
WST.
space?
Yeah. Abbreviate. It goes quicker.
I did. Not a lot.
No.
Actually, there was some recent insights. They did observations of Sagittarius A, the supermassive black hole at the center of our Milky Way galaxy. And they were actually going ahead and looking at the swirling disk of gas and dust that's actually surrounding the black hole. There's been conversations going for the longest time to where they have actually, am I in camera or not? Yeah. That there was this cloud of gas that was getting whipped around very fast around the center of the black hole, and they've been expecting that gas to potentially, if you want to call it, get consumed for many years now. Here you go, Mocha. What's another discovery? As of March 8th, 2025, James Webb Space Telescope revealed a remarkable image of the star-forming lens region 483. Let's see if I can go ahead and bring this up. I've got a picture of it, maybe. There we go. You go ahead and bring that up. 3, 2, 1, document. Or am I got video full? Let's take a look at it. This is what they were just talking about. Let me go ahead and actually bring this image down. High resolution. And I can actually control how we're looking at it. Zoom in on it. How about that? So, okay, so this is the star-forming region called LENS 483, or L483 for abbreviation is how NASA calls it, located approximately 650 light years away in the constellation Serpens. This high-resolution near-infrared image captures two actively forming protostars enshrouded in a dense cloud of dust, emitting vibrant hues of orange, blue, and purple. The intricate structures observed provide valuable insights into the early stages of star formation. We had that one. Another significant finding, they confirmed that the universe is expanding about 8% faster than previously expected. Let me put it over here so I can actually way. It's expanding 8% faster than previously expected, a phenomenon known as the Hubble tension. Again, they're updating their formulas, good for that, rather than trying to find ways to prove that, yeah, it was right the first time. It's how science should be. This observation suggests potential gaps in our understanding of cosmic components like dark matter and dark energy, which constitutes approximately 96% of the universe. While that came from Reuters, I will go ahead and say, yeah, dark matter, dark energy. They got nothing to prove it. Try again. It's just a theory. Once we can get there, they've been looking at it for the longest time, and it remains elusive potentially. Well, because potentially it does not exist. So yeah, this could be something we could do on a regular basis.
Oh, I like it. It's a scientific update on what's going on around us and out there.
Yeah,
it's very good.
That is.
For the audience.
I guess I could also ask. What's been going on at CERN?
That's a very good subject to bring up, CERN.
All right, so we got one here. Let's see, are there any pictures of any of this shit? No, this is just some text coming out of it. All right, so on February 20th of this year, CERN reported advancements in the understanding of exotic hadrons. Actually in the name, Large Hadron Collider, which are particles composed of more than the traditional 2 or 3 quarks. These findings shed light on the strong force that binds quarks together. God, it was so much easier, Mike, when we just had electrons and atoms and all that stuff.
Oh, it's much more complicated now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Also on the 19th of February, it looks like February was a good month, the Atlas experiment at CERN observed for the first time events where Z boson is produced alongside 2 other carriers of the weak force. This observation enhances our comprehension of electroweak interaction, a fundamental force in particle physics. That's one thing we got to bring up about talking about particle physics and CERN and all the accelerators. That's one thing, Mike, we don't hear about that much, really, is UFOs being seen around CERN or other particle accelerators.
That's true.
So,
yeah,
which is more dangerous to humanity? Us screwing around with creating nuclear weapons and creating, if you want to call it, nuclear power plants and nuclear waste and all that stuff, which the aliens cannot get enough of looking at. It's like looking at a train wreck. It's almost like entertainment for them. Let's look at how stupid the humans are.
No, that's one way of looking
at
it.
But when it comes to CERN, where we're smashing all these forces together, and people are concerned about us going ahead and creating black holes that'll obliterate the planet, not so much interest.
No, that's right. Because obviously we're nowhere near where they are technologically, so it's probably a running joke to them.
Absolutely. Anyway, just decided to jump into a little bit of science news before we brought this to a close today. It's something that, I want to thank Tia for asking, who asked a question about that? I think Tia, somebody did, and Tia brought some stuff up on it. It worked out perfectly.
Well, Lou made an announcement today, and I sent you a DM on it. Do you want to cover it? It's about the new documentary.
Oh, yeah. God, I got to wonder if he's got some points on that. That would be great for him. Tia. Yeah, Tia brought that up, and she just mentioned that a second ago. So let me go ahead and find that particular message from you, Mike. Yeah, I saw that one as well today. Sorry, we did not cover it.
But we can cover it on the way out if you want.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, everybody loves a little bit of Lou Elizondo news, right? Let me go ahead and get it up here. All right, coming from Lou Elizondo earlier today. Thank you for this. Let me get to this tweet. Post Elizondo. Friends, by now you are probably aware of this upcoming documentary. I'll keep myself there, right? Age of Disclosure. This secret project has never this project has taken over 2.5 exhaustive years to complete, and I am proud to have played a major role in its development. Ooh, I wonder what credits Lou's going to get. I believe it has the potential to change the UAP conversation irrevocably. Now, Mike, this could be something that we need to figure out. We need to figure out a way for audience members to go ahead and vote. I guess they could do it in the chat now.
Yeah, they can. Is this going to lead to huge UAP disclosure
No,
revelations?
no. What credit is he? What title is Lou Elizondo going to get in the credits of this movie?
Oh, that's anybody's guess.
Yeah, it's taken over 2.5 years to complete, and I am proud to have played a major role. Color here. A major role in its development, and I believe this it has the potential to change the UAP conversation. So again, played a major role in its development.
Yeah, with some battling going on behind the scenes too, if you remember.
Actually, this is a post, right? And I'm on the post. So I can go to this post and I can say, Rock, what role could Lou Elizondo have played in the production of this movie? Let's ask Grok and see what it says, because that's something you can actually do now. You can actually go ahead and ask Grok.
Yeah, ask ChatGPT. I'll tell you why. Grok doesn't have real-time internet access. Its large language model database information ends December 2024. ChatGPT is live in real time.
All right. Let me do that.
Yeah, do that. That'll give you real up-to-date information. Especially
I'm gonna go to the web-based interface so we can see it a little bit better.
Yeah, but if there is, let's say for this documentary, any credits that have been listed already, ChatGPT will find it, Grok won't. And that's what we want to know. If the credits are out there, what are they going to show?
I got you. ChatGPT 4.0.
Yeah, that's the one.
For the upcoming...
The Age of Disclosure. Documentary. What are the credits?
A documentary by Dan. How you spell his last name?
Farah.
I don't know if I don't think they can access Twitter. I want to get back to here. Let me get back to X again really quick, and I'll bring this up in 1 second.
The credits are not going to be on Twitter.
No, that's okay. I'm just trying to get the exact tweet that you have. Exactly what he said.
Oh.
I know. Lou Elizondo recently said this. Lou's of this movie. I know I need to find what is the Age of Disclosure.
Hey, Thomas, while you're searching real quick, I just want to let you guys know that Lou's giving a talk in Georgia as we speak, I think. And we have some boots on the ground there, so if anything comes out of that, I'll let you guys know.
All right. Here we go.
Well, Thomas and I spoke to Lou privately about this very documentary a while ago, and we're well aware of his role in it and what's been going on and what's coming out.
I have that. Go back.
Hey, Mike, is it true that Lou Elizondo is going to disappear away from this community after this documentary?
There's no connection between Lou's current role in this community and what he's been doing and this documentary coming out. It's going to be a series of interviews with former government employees and their opinion of the UAP topic.
No, I know, but I mean, I was told that that Lou said this was his last hoorah, trying to get people to understand or believe or get the government that he's all done. There's nothing more he can do.
Lou is trying to get into the current administration's cabinet as the next UAP czar for air safety, and that hasn't been resolved yet. So no, I don't believe Lou is retiring anytime soon. Plus, he still has his book tour and his appearances that he's doing currently. Like Brian just mentioned, he's active tonight in one of these appearances. So no, he's not going away. He's not going to go out of the public limelight.
Okay.
All right. Significant consultative and on-camera role within the production. Praising him, proud to have played a major role in development, suggests he was deeply involved in shaping the documentary's narrative and providing insider knowledge. There's a breakdown of what it could have been. He could have been on camera as a subject matter expert. Yeah, of course. Consultant on UAP and national security topics, may have guided filmmakers on what aspects of UAP cover-up should be explored, ensuring accuracy and credibility in representing classified and declassified information. Narrative development and fact-checking, advocate of public voice in the film. It'd be interesting, what could his credited?
Well, I could argue that because you and I are both personally aware of the fact that he helped facilitate Dan Farrer's access to a lot of these high-ranking former military employees of the government, that he should also have potentially an executive producer credit, but I don't know if he does, because you and I are also aware of the behind-the-scenes stuff going on between him and Dan Farrer.
Right.
So we don't know if he'll get that credit or not.
Right. Now,
maybe a bad taste in Dan Farrer's mouth.
Based on all that stuff, given it to ChatGPT, it knows about the movie, it's looked the stuff up, we've given it the statement from Lou on Twitter, and then it came back and asked what could his credited titles be in the actually credits of the movie.
Okay.
Like you said, executive producer.
Yeah, that's one.
Consulting producer.
Yeah, that's
subject
two.
Matter expert. But he definitely is. Special consultant. I think a executive producer role or a consulting producer role.
All things being equal, if things remain neutral with Lou and the production staff, that might have been the case, but I'm not so sure now, because of everything that went on behind closed doors that you and I are aware
UAP Disclosure Advisor. So, this is something we're going to have to watch, because I don't think anyone's asked about that.
Well, this information, I'm sure, is going to be made public because it's going to be premiering in a day, and it'll be public after that.
Well, is it premiering today, or is it premiering tomorrow, Brian? Do you know when it's premiering?
Tomorrow. Mm-hmm. To my knowledge. And then we're going to hear a lot of information coming out about it afterwards.
Hey, Mike, does this have anything to do, or Mike or Thomas, does this have anything to do with how they're releasing the film that they're doing South by Southwest? They're trying to shop it around as opposed to release it immediately, or is this more with the content of the film? I
am shopping it to potential distribution partners.
Correct. That's exactly what it is, because they still don't have distribution set up for it. Because I'll tell you why. At the premiere, if it flops and doesn't really get a lot of the audience's attention, there's going to be no distributor that's going to want to touch it with a 10-foot pole. So it'll die on the vine at that point, potentially.
Yeah, and that's why I figured that would be the point of contention.
It is.
Which I think is a shame on a Dan Farrer's part, because he's from the film community, as we all know. And this is his normal routine path. And I don't think he's caught up with, how things currently work. as far as just going straight to Netflix or straight to Tubi or what have you.
I'll tell you what he was hoping.
He's trying to go the film festival route.
I'll tell you what he was hoping, because Dan Farah has been working on this for 2.5 years now so far, and it was entirely up to him as far as the proposed airing date of this. And the reason that he chose this time frame is because with the new administration in place now, and the claims and promises that they made during the campaign for disclosure, he was expecting we would have already gotten some things out publicly, and it would have been perfect timing for this film to come out. But guess what happened? We didn't get any of that. So now it's a roll of the dice for him, because he's locked into this premiere date. And if it flops, there's not a damn thing he or anybody else can do about it. And I'm sure he'll be really pissed at the administration for that, if that's how it turns out. Because they didn't release anything yet. Nothing. Not even on prosaic stuff like the mystery drones. Not a damn thing. So his timing didn't turn out to be as ideal as he originally had hoped it to be. He may end up going the same route as the program with James Fox, which was not a success.
Yeah, it seems
but we
to be
can
that way.
talk privately about why that film didn't go according to plan for James Fox. He could have dealt with things a lot differently than he did. So those choices are his own, and he has to live with them.
Yeah. Great filmographer. No, but didn't Dan Farah, wasn't he the producer or something like that, or the executive? He was involved in 2 projects ago with James Fox. It was Ariel School one.
Yeah. I don't think he got any credit for that.
I think he
he
did.
was in it. Did he?
Yeah.
You could check that.
Oh yeah.
I think that the documentary you're talking about was The Phenomenon that James Fox had put out.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Then check the credits with ChatGPT and see if Dan Farah is listed.
Yes, he was credited as the producer.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Look at that.
So yeah, ding.
Yep. Good memory.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It works much better when I take Adderall.
Yeah, amazingly so.
Yeah, I was on Adderall at the start of the show, and I can see why it was so much easier to run back then.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's why it went as smoothly as it did.
Oh yeah, jumping from thing to thing like it's absolutely nothing without saying what the fuck was I just talking about. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. It was fun.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me get back in this. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out. Yeah, a great opportunity, great time to hang out with friends, Mike, the audience, everyone in the back. Great show today.
It was fun. Like yesterday's show was fun too. Great conversation.
Oh, yeah. That's what it's about. It's about the community. It's about the conversation. Go ahead and find where where's that? I'm going to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful super chats today. Holy cow. Thanks for your love and support of everything we do here at Disclosure Tonight. Yeah, we are a fan-funded program, and I am humbled and thankful by everyone's love and support for what we do. I know it's the same thing I always say, but it's true, and I'm honest about it. I couldn't say it better from the heart. Next, I want to go ahead and thank some people who've given us some wonderful people. I want to go ahead and thank our audience who's thrown up some super chats. Now, I know, okay, Firefly, let us know if you don't like all the love that Charles Kerr keeps on giving you. But a lot of love for our Firefly from Charles Kerr, not once, not twice. Times. Let's thank Alchemist 372, Phase Will. Huge super chat. Thank you very much. And Phase Will says it the best. Love you guys. Like, share, and subscribe. Love to have you as a regular here at Disclosure Tonight. Share with your friends, other people you may know in the community, other parts of social media. Also want to go ahead and thank Brian Pemble for your super chat. Thanks for stopping in the show and having a great conversation. Reality Check VIP, you as well. Thank you very much, Harold. And David Williams for starting it all tonight. Our friend in the UK. Wow, wow, wow. What a great show. What a great audience. A little bit more of that get the bass thumping in the studio here. Okay, let me get ready for it. I want to thank all of our people and our friends in the chat, our audience. We love you all. I appreciate everything you do here. I want to go ahead and thank who came in today, the $7 million Man X. There we go. Al Duff, Andre, Andy W's been in the chat along with Charles Kerr. We have DT, Dana Scully's been around along with Dennis Benke. We've had Digger Dog, Diva Kim, and Eric Roth and the Gurus. How about that? Firefly's been here, and Geraldine Durazio. Thank you, Geraldine. You put a smile on my face every time I say your name. Reminds me of living in the Chicago suburbs. Let's thank Gray Jedi. Well, just moved her own John Mooner, John McLean. Juliana Reverbal, thank you very much for coming out. Kathy's been here along with Kelly Burrow. Hear the entire show. Thank you, Kelly and Kathy and Jan and everybody. Let's thank King Bull, Larky, Daria. Our mods do a lot of great work for keeping the chat running smoothly. I can't thank any of them enough, for all of them enough, for what they do here. I also want to thank King Bull for coming out tonight. Larky, Derry, Logan C, Megan Betts, Mick, Mike. Disclosure, of course, has been in the chat along with Paul Damon, who has been freed. Paul Smith has been around along with Peggy and her South Florida friends. Big hugs to you, Crockett, Tubbs, and Steve. I want to appreciate our friend Faze Will, no longer in Southern California, but he's in safe California. Let's thank Prism Films, Raul, Sam for being around along with Sandra, Jutes, Super Unknown. Tats has been here along with Dead Fish Cheese Spread and F5 Twister. And our hearts go out to, yes, Two Midgets on a Horse. We miss you being in the chat, my friend. What a great name. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming in. More importantly, I want to... Wow.
That was a little loud.
Yeah, it was. I want to go ahead and thank our friends in the back chat that have been here, for made some great contributions for today's show. Yeah, I need a... Yeah, it just was... Yeah, it's a cranking sound effect, I guess. Yeah, no matter what, it's way the hell up there. Let me go ahead and not worry about that. I want to thank our friends in the back. Mike, let's go ahead and thank Alice for coming out today.
Hey, Thomas, I hope my mic's better now.
Yeah.
What is the skyline behind you? I just noticed it.
Seattle.
Oh,
Yep.
Cool.
That is
hometown.
Seattle, Washington.
Well, have a good evening, and thank you.
Yeah. It's actually pretty beautiful city, and actually we got the 5 freeway this way. This way is actually driving from the south to the north, except I flipped the image for your viewing pleasure.
It's very good. It's very nice.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Also want to thank Andy W. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, if my mic button will work, Thomas. Yeah, great show. I actually made it to the end of the show almost.
Yeah.
No, I made it to the end of the show, but yeah, really good show tonight and great chat and everything. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Absolutely. Also want to thank Daryl, actually Corporal Abe. Thanks for coming out, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. Mahalo, everybody. And hopefully this is the age of disclosure and we get some new information soon, because I know we're all itching for something.
Oh, you better believe it, my friend. Thank you for coming out. Next, I want to thank Daryl Zernick. Appreciate the questions and the contributions today.
Thank you for the show, Thomas. Always great content. You guys do an awesome job.
Thank you, sir. On to Ed Brown from the great recliner state of Texas.
Yeah, it was really good show tonight. And Daryl, I just want you to know I got my camera here, so I got my eyes on you, and that thing comes around. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely. All right. Also want to go ahead and thank who's next on the list? Who said something? Hollywood. We got that. Michael Sokoloff, Canada. Appreciate everything you had to say today.
Anytime, Thomas.
Absolutely. And Tia, thank you for the idea for taking a peek on what's going on with the James Webb Space Telescope. It's something we're going to start doing on a more regular basis.
I think so.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we
and
did.
Andy is the one who I think said something about it first.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is true.
It was it's awesome. I love that kind of stuff. I mean, that's where I think we're going to find our answers, to be honest.
Well, that's why let's see if I get in trouble from YouTube for covering some of the news that's actually out there in the media right now. Let's see if they Spank the channel. How dare I talk about what? But no, they can't do against it because they can't go against it because this is the head government officials. And before,
this is free speech era.
It's not copyrighted.
Well, it's not. It's not that it's not copyrighted. We're in a particular age where before, if the government said the stuff was this way, that the thing worked and all these things, and if you went against what the government was saying, right? Yeah. Not what the scientists were saying, but what the government was saying, that you will get spanked by YouTube and everybody else. Today will be a litmus test of, did they say we spread misinformation about it?
No, I don't think we're dealing with that currently.
Well, we'll find out soon enough.
We will.
That's it. How can they say that you're spreading false information?
Well, I was bringing up information that was covered by our government.
That's right.
And covering the reason why they're not going to go ahead and have vaccine for other cows and chickens because they're afraid what it will turn into when it reacts with this other stuff, because you'd never get something with 100% efficacy in some of the things. And you might, but you may, we don't need any more zombies.
Right. And it's important for you to get that out to us.
It's an official government release, so it's not coming from us.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Well, no, it's not coming from you guys, but it's important for creators to reach their audience because not everybody pays attention to one thing or another. That's what I mean.
Rabid zombie cows was not on my bingo card. Just think about how big cows are, and now they're carnivorous and they're zombies and they're hungry. Instead of we're on the menu because cows have a lot of freaking energy and power, and they can smash through your front door. They could, that could be. That was not on my bingo card.
It's not on mine either. So
yeah,
let's hope not.
All right, and let's go ahead and bring this to a close, Mike. I appreciate you coming out today, my friend.
My pleasure. It was a great show, great conversation again today. And thank you for the wonderful job that you did always with bringing this out with the audience for us, for you and me.
Absolutely. So on that note, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but...
Go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you on the flip side. Good night, everybody. Love ya. See you soon. See you on Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.